So once again, the Supreme Court technically ruled in Dumpy's favor, but it's still unclear. The conservative majority on the court said that individual judges lack the authority to issue nationwide injunctions on birthright citizenship. And that's been really sticking in Dumpy's craw because that's what's getting in the way of a lot of his deportations. So now this just goes back to the lower courts where they have to rule on a case-by-case basis. But their ruling still left open the possibility that Trump's stupid changes to birthright citizenship could remain blocked nationwide. However, Justice Sotomayor wrote in her rebuttal something very scathing. She said this leaves open the possibility for the president to just bypass the Constitution, because it means Trump could try to enforce something even with the lower court ruling it unconstitutional. This is really strange to me, because on the face of it, this seems directly like a response from the conservatives to that provision being removed from his big, beautiful turd budget bill. The one that made it so that federal courts could not enforce contempt on things that they've ruled against Trump for. And the Dems got that pulled from the bill. So now this is technically a way for Trump to bypass the Constitution and do things that lower courts have ruled unconstitutional. However, I don't know why the SCOTUS would do that, because that provision took away power from them as well. Now, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't understand the bigger picture of this. I don't understand why the Supreme Court keeps agreeing with Donald Trump on things that willfully takes away their own power. But his birthright citizenship changes could still be blocked nationwide. So even though they didn't rule on constitutionality, Trump was still praising this decision for hindering the lower courts. And in another ruling that is stupid, but doesn't really surprise me much, the Supreme Court sided with a group of parents who wanted to withdraw their elementary school children from class when storybooks with LGBTQ characters are being read. They don't ban the books or anything like that, they're just able to remove their child from the class if those books are being read. It was of course a 6-3 conservative decision. However, this one kind of baffles me because when I was a child, like 35 years ago, if we had kids in the class who didn't celebrate a holiday or didn't celebrate Christmas and we were doing a Christmas-related activity, they were freely allowed to leave the room and do something else. So it kind of surprises me that this is still a thing that people have to complain about years later. Idiotic creationist religious parents have been pulling their kids out of classes when they teach science for a long time. Yet they don't want their kid reading a book about someone having two dads, so therefore they must be removed. Because they have to continue brainwashing their children that that's wrong. But whatever, they didn't decide to ban any books or some shit, they just said people could take their kids out, so who cares? Once again, the Supreme Court ends its session by doing a bunch of dumb shit.